asked for volunteers. They want some volunteers. We want 4 volunteers. Oh man, my hand went up. Couldn't get it up fast enough. He said, see me after you break. I said, okay. He gave me a mop about that big and a broom bigger than the mop. And we had to go and clean the restrooms. The other guys had to do theirs too. We all had to clean these restrooms for ourselves. Well, from that day on, I never volunteered for anything. And I'm 96 years old, and I haven't volunteered for anything yet. I haven't reached that point yet. Excuse me. But that man put us through, man. 5 days to get to Arizona on a troop train. And when we reached there, we had eaten up everything that we had, except cookies and some lemonade. Well, this man Hardy, Colonel Hardy, he was white, over this unit wherever we were. He met us. And when I got off the train, and I looked around, I couldn't see nothing but hills, you know, and I didn't see no streets or nothing. I was just looking up. So I got back on the train. He sent somebody to get me off. He took me off. And I got back on the second time. So when the second time they come off, I really didn't want to stay there. But he says, you had better calm down and you stay here. They told him that they hadn't had anything to eat. And at 11 o'clock that night, he woke up the people who cooked for the army, and they cooked us a dinner, a good one, right there at 11 o'clock. And we ate. It was about 1:30 when we got through eating. Oh, man. You had to give them down all the things that you have done. And I had to go to the Wyoming library and take tests for 5 days, day after day after day. I had to take those tests. And while then, I was turned loose to go on with the other guys. And you talking about misery, man, holy misery. They put me right out on the field. And I was to show the scene of combat how to tear down the gun. And then I had to show them how to build it back up again. That was the 03 rifle. And when you pull the trigger on that baby, here, it ran up like a horse, man. Ugh. I don't know if you've ever had shot a gun that did that for recoil. It did it. It was that strong. If you knew how to handle it. Well, day after day this went on. I was out there. And I wasn't bothering me too much. I was supposed to keep cotton in my ears, but I wouldn't do it. So we had a routine thing. The guys from Long, we had a ready on the left, and we'd echo up there, ready on the left, ready on the right, ready on the right, targets. Well, then these big targets go up. Wow. And they would be as wide as that one, those targets, and far away. Fire at will. Guns start popping. some bullets wasn't going any further than that window there. These guys were scared of that rifle, man. They were scared of it, and they'd handle it. They'd almost just put it in the ground. So I had my glasses looking, doing. Some of them was doing pretty good. And one walked up to me from my back. He said, "Sergeant," I was the staff sergeant. He said, "Sergeant, which one of them is Will?" I didn't pay him any attention. And I said, "What?" He said, "Which one of them is Will?" I said, "Give me your gun, fella, give me your gun." I said, "Somebody might tell you I'm Will, and you'll be shooting at me around here." The Will was you could, when you got ready to shoot, shoot. But they couldn't understand those things. A lot of these guys, no education, all the thing they could do was count their money. They could count their money, but they didn't have any education. You had to turn off the lights at 11 o'clock. So I had this kid turning off the light, and when I come in, he was standing in a chair, and he was going with a light, trying to blow it out like that. That's what you have at home a long time ago. I said, "What in the world are you doing?" He said, "No." I said, "Come here." And I showed him what to do. And I think maybe if I hadn't come in, he'd have been out. He's just laying out someplace. He was almost gone then. So this was happening. All of these things happened in the Army. That's what's going. Then after a baseball game one day, the colonel called me. I don't know why he took them directly to me, but he did. And I kept walking because I didn't hear him. So he sent somebody after me, and he says, "Colonel Hardy wants to see you." And we went back up there. He said, "Sergeant, I called you. You ignoring me?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, you kept walking." I said, "I didn't even hear you." Oh, this was a Sunday. Monday, he had arranged it for me to take this test, and I flunked it. I couldn't hear anything in it. He snatched me right out from my unit that I came there with and put me in another unit. Well, I went AWOL trying to get back with my group, but nobody would take me. Not a one would take me. And then they put me in the school, Colonel Young's school, had me teaching school, had me teaching the whole school how to drill. Like the soldiers. When the soldiers had a drill, our children had to come out and drill with them. And everything was pretty and beautiful. When they do that, still wouldn't let me go overseas. But now I'm glad of it because they went to the Philippines. That's where they went. And I stayed in the United States. Yeah, but I done guard over something that they were building up there in Nevada. And I took my command up there to keep guard over that way. And you had to cross over water. Well, when they would come there, people come to look. I want to go across. They would have to give us their guns and camera if they had one. And when they reached the other side, we'd give it back to them. Well, we had one guy that just run his mouth all the time. I wonder when the Negroes go come across the way. We don't have no love. Yeah, all the time. Well, the guys that was in charge were white. So they were, one day we were standing out there and this brand new Ford drove up. And the guy told him, says, yeah, well, you wanted some darkish to come over here. Well, there they are. He had his rifle out. He took his rifle and put it right here on this soldier, this other general. And you could just see his nose going just like that. And he was afraid to move, and I was afraid to grab him. I tried to talk to him. I said, come on, man, you don't do nothing like it. like that. Finally, I took him away. And that man got up, and we never saw him anymore for coming over there. He left the place. Well, I thought sure that we were going to get in trouble there. But they didn't say one thing to us. Not one thing yet did they say to us about that. So you keep going. You keep going. In we had a lady, I don't know if you've heard of her. Her first name was Lena. Lena, something beautiful woman. I never saw such a beautiful woman in all my born days. But she would visit the soldiers at least once a month. She would come once a month. And she just died this year. She was 92 years old. And she passed away. It was a kid coming in the paper. And I felt kind of real sorry for that because I never got to get close. The guys would get me out of the way, and they would go around Lena. And she would get in the Jeep with us, the old Jeeps, to ride around the command. But she was on, they did that. And she just passed away here. And that kind of hit me real bad because she was for us. And I think she was aware of her beauty too. Well, she could have a lot of soldiers waving at her and all like that. This is what was going on. And they would wave at her too, including myself. I never did get too close to her. We had a big base going there, big going. And I had a friend that her daughter was sick. And she asked me if I could find some chickens to cook for her daughter. I said, well, sure, I'm sure I could find some, yes. Well, I did, I found some. And I told her that I would bring them over that day. They were off campus in places where it was just almost like a town. It was almost like a town. So I got these chickens, I rode horses, they had horses there. They were left over from where the army had come to guard the people and protect them from the Apache Indians. These horses were still there. And I was riding when I was little, and I rode there. Colonel, this guy tell me he'd get me, Sergeant, we'd go for a ride. In the evenings, they would go for a ride, and they would stay out, and we'd have to bring their horse back. Now, you try riding a horse and leading the other with one hand. And when that horse gets the smell of the bond, there's nowhere in the world you can hold him. He's gone. But he'll go on in the barn where he's always been on. But that's we was out there to bring them back, but nobody never did bring them back. They turn out and leave for sure. It's all I do. Things like this. It's rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. And 19, I played football. I played baseball. I roller skating. I bowled. So when these things come around, they always pointed their finger at me. Everything was black there now. All black soldiers and black men with their wives. If you were married, you could get a house on there and have children. Well, they had 2 schools. I was a teacher. They said me a teacher in the Collins, and another boy for the other school where they had the whites. He was over there, but he was still a black soldier teaching white kids. And of course, all my kids were black, like me. I was teaching them everything. Close order drill. And the girls, I'd carry them basketball. They never played. But when I got through with them, they was whipping everything in the state of Arizona. I got pictures of all this stuff. All of it. Well, what happened during the war there in the back. They were there. I taught them how to tumble and all of that kind of stuff. Well, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. Well, paydays, nobody ever called me Thomas. I didn't know I had a name, Thomas. Your name was Turner. They used your last name. When I had to get my laundry, pick up my laundry, I was way back in the back where the guys had A, B, C with their last name. And they would be gone by the time they called Turner to walk up the window and get my package. And what we was doing, they would take off. It was a place like, Fry, that's what the name was, this place. They go out to Fry. So they wanted me to go out there also to keep the guys in line away from the women. So I went out one day and I watched this procedure, and I asked the man if he would take me off of it, because I didn't particularly like what I saw, and he did. I had to keep the guys in line to go in and see the girls. And some of these girls were 60 and 65-year-old women out of Texas and places like that. And they were driving their big Buicks and Cadillacs and things like that, and making more money then. But when something happened in Washington, D.C., I don't know exactly what it was, but they finally cut that out. And I was so glad. It was really good. And when we was out there, her husband was there as some type of officer. They had a place to stay, but not on the troop where we were a troop. They were off the troop, but they had a place to stay. He had to plan different things for the soldiers to look at. And this is where Lena Horne come in. That's where she come in. The Mills brothers came in. All of that. Well, once a day, once a day, once a day. These things happen. Well, 5 years went by kind of quick. I wasn't married. I come out. I was discharged on the 23rd of December at Adobe, Indiana. You couldn't find any clothes or shoes that would fit you anywhere. The soldiers got these things. You would be surprised at what happened to the stores. They stripped these stores of things for the soldiers to have them. And there they were. And my mother said, when I got there, she said, you've had telegrams and you've had telephones. I said, well, how would anybody get my telephone number for that? And I said, what do they want, Mom? She said, they want you to play baseball. I said, I do? She said, yeah. She said, I said, well, what about it? I said, I just got out of the Army. She said, well, if you want to go, you go on. You're not mad. I went on down. And I went there, and I stayed there for 3.5 years in Mexico, playing baseball. I pitched the Sunday game every time that it come up. And in 3.5 years, I lost one game, just one. Well, when I wanted to go back home again, they was crying. They didn't want me to go back. They said they'd give me a home and fill it for me. Rich Americans then was putting things in Mexico to sell. They was getting a group of it. And some of them found out that I played professional baseball. And they started paying me money to teach their kids baseball, boys. The people who worked for them would drive up to our place where we stayed in a big Cadillac or something. They took us out to the ball field. And they gave me $10 a child to work with them on baseball. They was getting some baseball too. Bob Lemon was in it. Lemon was in it. He was white and he pitched for Cleveland. So we fell in. He was married. I wasn't. He was married. His wife was about that big. Bob was way up there, a big man. And we just became friends in that way. So we went to the dance one night, and when we opened the door, the band stopped playing and started playing America. And it hit him and hit me at the same time. I said, you hear what's playing, Bob? He said, yeah, man. And we went on in, and they were playing it too. They was playing it good. They had farms. If you were sitting anywhere with a woman besides you, you were married to her. Wasn't any courting or anything. You married that. You were married to that woman. That was their way. Well, if you courted one, her sister and 2 or 3 other women would sit between you and the girl you were supposed to be courting. Well, I couldn't hear, and they would have to tell me what she says, and I have to tell her what I said. Well, we went to Mimas. I'm sure you've never heard of Mimas. It's one of those places where people go on vacation. where they could swim, where they could hunt, and where they could fish and do all of that stuff. Guaymas is that. It's still going. Well, she was walking around one day by herself down there, this girl. And Bob told me she spoke English. I mean, Spanish. I didn't. Bob told me, he says, that girl is looking for you. That's fine. He spoke English too. The baseball team was mixed up, black and white. All right. And I said, well, what of it? He says, well, she's away from home and she can't go back home. I said, what do you mean she can't go back home? This is some of that stuff that the Mexicans breed. If the girl had gone off by herself, she don't come back home. She go in the house where the other girls go. And that's where she stayed. And he told me, a shrine told me what happened. So that he got a lawyer and married us right on the spot, right there. I had a bit more love that girl than the man in the moon. In fact, I had never been even close to her because her sister and all these other people were across from her. So I had a wife I didn't need, I didn't love, and didn't want. But I had to keep her. And when she got pregnant down there, then I took her hand and brought her to the United States because I wanted my kid to be born here in the United States. That's the girl to be coming down here so sadly. And that was it. And she was the kind of person that she didn't know what to do. And she was a beautiful woman, and she used her beauty to charm what she didn't have. And every time you look around, she's with a different guy. Well, I'm working. And it couldn't be hurting me because I didn't care for her from the very beginning. It went on like that. And finally she walked off. And she married another guy. He owned a drugstore. She married this guy. And so, well, for 11 years, I took care of my kids by myself. I had all three of them then. They were her children, the three, but for 11 years I kept my kids. And we done okay. I cooked for them, I cleaned for them, I washed and ironed for them. I done everything for them. And my kids, they love me still, and they love her still. They do. We got married. We've been married for 40-some years. This woman, for 40-some years. And I wouldn't even think about changing anything. Because the attitude she has is the same kind of attitude that I have.